Powerology. We're studying superpowers. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Powerology, my series where I talk about superpowers and I classify them and stuff. Today, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the main types of powers. Or the main things that we tend to call superpowers when we are talking about superheroes and supervillain, the superhero, supervillain, or just that kind of genre thing. Or we talk about people with superpowers in media. Okay, let's get started. Now, first, we've got our enhancer. So first, we've got our enhancement powers. And enhancements, all we mean, they enhance one of your abilities. Its ability, almost all normal human beings or human-like people, or people or humanoid creatures, whatever you want to call them. Anyways, that almost every human or creature of your species, whatever you want to call it, it's one that you naturally got, but this is enhanced. You have something above the way above the norm. Like you have super eyesight or super hearing or super speed. Normal people can run, normal people can see, normal people can hear. Now, I'm not talking down to those people who can't, and there's absolutely nothing, I have absolutely nothing against them. There are plenty of good people with those that can't, and that's fine. This is not me putting down disabled people. Now, but in general, most human beings can see, hear, air, run, etc. Enhancement could also be a super sense of smell or an extension somehow or I guess a more sensitive sense of touch. Super voice, I guess, could classify. But yeah, we've got our enhancements. And what I'm going to call people with I'll just call people with those type of superpowers enhancers. It doesn't sound quite right. That sounds more like something you should call one product enhancement products or whatever, an enhancement product or whatever, but it's all I can think of for now. If you guys have a better name for it, go ahead and comment down below so I can update this and make it cooler or better quality or whatever. Okay. All right, now we got our next one category. You've got your extensions, which are basically our powers that are not, which I know that sounds like it could be enhanced, but for the sake of this, I'm saying it's ones that the typical human being or whatever the species of a super is do not typically have. For example, Spider-Man. And he has webs. Most people cannot shoot super cool webs out of a wrist. And again, some variations he makes, the silk and artificially and not through that. And some he does a little bit of both. Well, anyways, you get my example. You get what I'm going by, probably. Another example. And let's see. Most people cannot climb walls. Yeah. Cannot climb. But or Wolverine, he has those special claws that come in and special metal claws that come in and out of their hands. Most people do not have claws. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, wouldn't flight be an extension or something? I guess if you want to use that definition. But when I'm talking about extensions, I'm typically talking a little more physical features, but not necessarily physical like you can see it per se, but more of a physical power. Something not really something like flight or speed or anything like that. But I guess you technically could, but I'm thinking like other body parts or an animal like feature that allows you to do that. You know, I probably will need a better word for it, but for now, we got our extensions, and if you like, you can go ahead and just call any power that's not an enhancement power an extension if you want. It's perfectly fine. I mean, as long as you're willing to specify ones that are solely extensions versus what is just what might need to be a little more specific. Okay. Now we got our psychic powers, and I'm probably mispronouncing that word slightly because, well, occasionally that speech impediment of mine kicks in. It's minor. You probably won't notice it too often, but I mispronounce things involuntarily sometimes. Anyways, our psychic powers. It's kind of complicated. Your powers are kind of in the mind, but it's not super intelligence. So things like telepathy, telekinesis. I think Magneto's magnetic powers are controlled quite a bit by the mind mentally, so that would count. Electrokinesis, if it's kind of mental power that makes it, and it seems weird to say mental, because some would argue almost anything could be a mental power because the brain controls it. But I mean, it's confusing. It's a little weird. It's a mind power. It's a mind power that's not necessarily super intelligence, which we kind of got. There's a little controversy and debate on whether or not that qualifies. And that depends solely on what you want to make as your definition of a superpower. Me personally, I think super intelligence is just something we call a superpower, but isn't really super. because almost anyone, pretty much anyone, can develop super intelligence just by educating themselves if they want to. Not necessarily the same skill or the same type of super intelligence, but I think everyone's capable of some form of super intelligence, so I don't really consider that necessarily a superpower. Alright. Anyways, we got our psychic powers. Oh, another example of psychic. We've got Raven Simone with her visions. That is a psychic power. They're hard to explain, hard to understand. The next category is my final category is going to be even harder. I think it's going to be my final category. And let's see. Now we got magic. Now, oh, forgot to say, our people with, I'll go over it later. It was magic. Your powers come from magic, and it's hard to define what classifies as magic and what doesn't, but I think kind of a change has to occur. Something has to be kind of created that doesn't seem to have a normal natural things. And like elemental powers I'd consider kind of a magic. Water powers, fire powers, flight, it could be magic. Now, I'll only count flight as a magic if it's not something of your own, something normal on your home planet or whatever. It's, or it's not, if it's not something that's natural for like if you're an alien but all the aliens on your planet fly, I do not consider that magic, right? Per se. But anyways, I consider flight kind of magic. Teleportation. If you can create illusions naturally, I consider that a magic. You have power to control water, fire, whatever. Yeah, that's kind of magic. Things like that. And you see, there are some powers that might be a little bit of a crossover between these, and that's just fine. But yeah, these are my main types of powers. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Catch y'all later.